we sometimes not touch every single thing in that because we don't have that much time to to cover it everything, especially when it comes to mathematics. Since we are not mathematics students, we just use mathematics in the programming, so it is not supposed to learn in real depth of every subsection. So what's to do? So that's the challenge that we face. I mean, during this hard time. Same goes to giving you the question and answer as well. Okay. Question 84. Give an example of a function integers as a domain to integers as the codomain that is 1 to 1 but not onto. Okay. Now I give the answer here with me. Because don't remember the answer. Seriously, I don't see the answer before this. I just do it by myself and I read out, see the answer that given from the bank, the question bank. Okay, 84 first. Always, if you are asked to give examples, always try to practice to start with like 2n, 2n plus 1, or n divided by 2, this. Okay, the simple formula. Okay, I would say this simple formula that always been used to describe the example. At least you try and error, because this is something that you need to face with try and error kind of test. Okay. Give example function this one and to show 1 to 1 but not onto. I hope you still remember what is 1 to 1, where you have x here, y here. 1 to 1s mean every element in x will just be mapped to one element in y. Okay, one element in y. But there should be, the elements in y which is not mapped by the x. As long as only one y value as the image of the pre-image, still remember the image and pre-image, is called 1 to 1. But 4 onto, right? But 4 onto, let's say you have this, you can have 2x value that map to the same value of y, but the rule is that everything in y should be mapped. Okay, means that the codomain is also equal to the range, means that every element in y should be mapped by x. It doesn't matter whether it maps 2 or 3 times like that. Doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. So this is the onto. Okay, now give example of this one first. It's 1 to 1 but not onto. Like what I said just now, we try to get to use the simple formula here first. Let's say since this is the integer, you can have negative and positive integer lah. So usually we start with a positive integer lah, easier for you to know, right? Like for example, if you use fn equal to 2n, f1 is 2, f2 is 4, f3 is 6, or f negative 1 is equal to negative 2, f negative 2, because it's z, because it's z, so it's including the negative value, negative 4 and so on. So when we see this, when we see the pattern of the answer, it should have the number here in y that is mapped with only one value of x. So there's none of the results that have 2 or more values of x that map to one value of y. But it also has the values in y that not be mapped to x. For example, number 3, number 5, like that, number 7. So all the odd number, none will be mapped by the x. Okay, but it includes in the codomain because it's z. Okay, because the codomain is z, which is including negative and also positive number. So this is 1 to 1 and not 1 to. So that's why the answer is 2n. What if you write the answer 3n? Also correct. What if your answer 4n? Also correct. Anything that fulfill the requirement, it's okay. I would just suggest you to use the simple formula first like this lah. But if necessary, you can add yourself. It would be good for you to practice with other numbers as well. As long as you know you fulfill the rules here, that's okay. Right? For question 85, I really wanted to apologize when I see the what we call it, the answer, right? So this is actually the answer. I noticed that the answer that I gave you, it's somehow because that one is converting from PDF to words file. So some of the words, the numbers, and also the alignment, miss here and there. So this is just like I print screen the answer. Not to say this one. Okay, so the answer for 85 is the floor function for n divided by 2. We don't have space here, so I should erase some first. So I don't have, extra space. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, again, the same things happen here. It mapped from domain Z to codomain Z, which is also include the positive and negative integer from domain and codomain. But this time, it asks you to have the onto but not one-to-one. Means that the functions, the value of the y can be mapped twice or more. Twice or more. Of course, 2n is wrong already, right? Wrong already. What about if we try and divide it by 2? Let's try if, let's say, f1, 1, 2, f2, 2, 1, f3, 2, or f negative 1, negative 1, negative half, f negative 2, negative 1, and f negative 3 is negative 2. Okay, but these also not fulfill the requirement because z is the integer, not include the number of decimal number or fraction. This one is fraction. If we convert it to decimal number, so it is not, this number not including in z, okay, in the integer. What we can do is that we can add either floor or ceiling. We can add either floor or ceiling to have like I would say almost similar to rounding, almost similar but not that. Okay, because the floor and ceiling, it has its own rule. What is the rules for floor function? Floor function, floor, because it's below, so it should be, the value should be less than the x here. And the other rule is that the biggest or largest number. The largest number,
Less than or equal and bigger than or equal, huh?
Yes, less than or equal to less than x. Because remember last time I give you tips. Remember the less first, less than x, then only you can remember because otherwise you may get confused. Big and largest and then less than, it's kind of confusing. So when it's floor, because floor is below it is
Less.
to the word less. Macam tu.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so when if let's say you choose less, you choose floor, so this one be 0 and this okay lah 1. 3.5 means 1.5 less than means equal to 1. So okay, we list down first. Negative 0.5 0.5 negative 0.5. What is less than negative 0.5? Negative 1. Okay, negative 1 is negative 1. This one is negative 1.5. If it is floor function, negative 2. Okay, now check the answer here. Let us ink color, change the ink color so that you can see it. Now, function n equal to 1, where you can map with 0, and this one, if function n equal to 2, you map to 1, function n equal to 3, you map with 1, and what about negative 1? You map with negative 1, negative 2, you map with negative 1, function of negative 3 will map with negative 2. So if you can see the pattern here, the y range, the codomain, we call it not the codomain, it's actually the range or image. Okay, the image of the x, 0, 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 2. So 1 that has 2 times, which is mapped by different x, and also negative 1, 2 times here, which is mapped with different x. So this is what we call it on to. Alright. Once it is called onto, it is not one-to-one already lah, because totally different rule. Okay, once it is onto, then it is not one-to-one already. Unless the question asks you to have the answer bijection. Okay, bijection should fulfill both rules. Okay, you may try if you want to get the answer for flooring. What you can get? I think it's similar. So the answer give you floor function. You may try with ceiling function. Okay. Can I have my coffee? Just 30 seconds. My life with coffee started since my degree studies. I can have 5 cups of coffee a day. Sometimes more than that. Very dangerous to your health.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, sure.
For question 85, can we use piecewise function, or is it we need to use floor or ceiling function?
It's okay to use anything as long as you can fulfill the requirement. As long